Hello everyone, this is the Enigami Project channel, otherwise known as chess_303. Today we are going to be explaining my AU, Withering Away. This AU is a idea that I had randomly of how the Sun and Moon show haven't really talked about Sun's ability to pick up on wither shards or the fact that he had a connection to the wither storm dragon, and along with like a combination of my what ifs on was Nexus AU, well, like Nexus. Today we will be going over a timeline event along with little story elements for the characters. The main ones being the Celestial family for now. If I feel like it, I'll make a follow-up video of the side characters like the Astrals, or maybe even the Eclipse and Puppet Show, since they sometimes have like crossovers. Lunar and Earth, or Terra and Cosmo, sorry, I'm still getting used to it myself, will also be included in this video, so do not worry. These stories for the characters will be uploaded in shorts after this video, maybe tomorrow, probably today. I am impatient, and we'll have the stories there as well, in case you don't want to sit through the rest of the video after the timeline. However, do remember this is an AU, and that the original Sun and Moon show characters, Sun, Moon, Lunar, Earth, and Solar, all belong to the original voice actors, which is Kat, Davis, and Reed. This is only a silly AU I made, like the rest of the internet makes of the show, and this is just a project I made. These characters belong to them. This is my version of them in a different AU, so please keep this in mind. Anyways, on to the timeline. This will take a while. So the story starts with Sun's coding. This was in the original video of What If Sun Became Like Nexus. The original story is that Sun's coding during the Vanny era, as I'd like to call it, which is before security breaches events. Unlike Moon, who simply did the D on site, Sun's coding with the virus simply lent over Vanny extra kids, such as the lost kids from the daycare or stragglers from the end of the day. But in a way, he was never conscious for any of it and was more into his advertisement mode. However, there was only one he was fully conscious for, which was a child named Evelyn. He was her favorite animatronic and quite close with her as she was a regular to the daycare. And this event severely hurt his coding and locked into his memory banks for the rest of security breach. Following the Sun and Moon show, lore, except for Blood Moon for July 16th, which would be way after the Vanny era, minus Dazzle's thing, up to Dazzle's confession that she was Evelyn. However, in this confession, she confesses that instead of being killed by Sun, she expresses that when she died, her soul was put back into the beast's body by a strange puppet. And to Sun's dismay, his memory banks flood with all those traumatizing memories, and it would be the start of his downfall. Slowly, Sun starts taking departures more and more frequently, from just leaving the daycare duties to Moon or Cosmo at the time, up to the point where he was leaving home for days on end. And eventually, Dazzle went missing behind him, along with Jack, slowly after. This would obviously start tension in the family. Moon was slowly getting more and more worried about his brother. Cosmo and Terra were worried about Dazzle and Jack. And Solar, I don't think Solar was in the story yet, but I'm going to tweak it and say he was, and he's just getting to worry about Dazzle since the bond with Jack hasn't started in this AU yet. However, when Moon, Solar, Cosmo, Terra, and Monty finally come together to confront Sun on the very rare day he comes home, he comes in with a brand new animatronic, Dazzle, in her current deer form, where she is perfectly fine, claiming that all of his trips were to fix Dazzle. However, his tone seems more annoyed, like something went wrong and he couldn't fix it. However, Moon simply dismisses it as he is too tired to deal with another scandal and simply scolds Sun for his departures, asking him to tell them when he is about to leave and to maybe take less frequent trips. Sun begrudgingly accepts this, and the family goes on. The lore continues as the Sun and Moon show, all the way up to the dimension hopping. However, there is only one difference. Sun is far more hostile and violent. He lashes out sometimes, and with each episode, it slowly gets worse, from just letting out a few kicks to slowly throwing items around the house and eventually breaking the couch in half, with his cats being his only support animals and Dazzle as his only support person, with Moon occasionally coming in. But however, since his emotional needs is far more than what Moon can give, he isn't much help. Neither is Solar, let alone Terra. Moon is already concerned for Sun. However, it becomes worse when Sun starts going on more trips again. And it's changed from days to weeks. Sometimes he'd leave from the pizzeria suddenly, or go on long time leaves from the house, or even the dimension entirely. He only found out about that last part from Cosmo recently, since Cosmo finally got back from astral duties to tell him. The astrals are slowly starting to get more and more annoyed as time goes on with Sun's antics, and Moon knows they are holding more information than they are telling him. Finally having enough, Moon corners Sun as soon as he gets home to confront his behavior. While Moon starts calm, however, Sun gets defensive, and it slowly diverges into an argument. There's yelling, there's fighting, and eventually Sun's magic starts to go ballistic, from damaging the area around him to even Moon. Hearing the commotion, Dazzle comes in, worried for her dad, and Monty comes in as well to try and ease the tension, as they are the only ones in the house at the moment. Trying to divulge the situation, Dazzle tries to comfort Sun. However, this does little to help. And Monty, seeing how destructive Sun's magic is getting, dives in to protect Dazzle and Moon. And with that, Sun's magic suddenly bursts, ringing the house, harming Moon, Dazzle, but especially Monty. Alerting Terra from next door, she runs. She runs faster than she's ever ran. However, once she gets to the house, all she sees when she runs up the stairs is a blackened void. The house itself was fine, It looked normal, even. However, her family was lying around various conditions, still in agony. Sun was gone. It was not like he was there at all. And this is where our story starts. Welcome to the Withering AU.
He didn't mean to. His head was spinning. His back was burning. All the stress, all the pain. He didn't have a choice. Having no other ideas, he ran. He needed to let out steam before he could apologize. Wait, apologize? For what? Who did he need to apologize to? He didn't remember. He thought he did. I thought so too. He had to find the shards. It would make him whole again. After all, it was what he was made to do. It's been weeks, and Moon's starting to take matters into his own hands. Maybe relying on Cosmo and the Astrals to find his brother was a mistake. His headache still hurts. It has since the incident. He hasn't left his lab. He's made all his old tech, and by some miracle, recreated the star, a version of its crying state from Cosmo's energy. He never wanted to take these measures. He wished he hadn't. But he had to find his brother. After everything he's done, he still loved him and needed to help him before it was too late. For how long? How long was he negligent? What if he had noticed a little sooner? What if he'd noticed Sun's body was a walking monstrosity of both dark star power, magic, and weather energy? What if he had just talked to him? And if the Astrals were correct in their future predictions, he'd need to find him soon, before they'd eventually have another dark star entity. They couldn't have something else, especially after Nexus. They were already on thin ice before. Or worse, a wither storm. Since Sun's first departure, he'd have to step up to take Sun's place as both a caretaker and father figure. They still hadn't found Jack, and it made him worried. He'd grown attached to him since he'd first found him. Over the year, he's grown into the role, taking care of Dazzle. Still on the hunt for Jack. After the incident, though, he's taken the role as protector as well. Molten following behind. The Solar knows better than anyone. He can't stand up to Sun's magic. Or at least keep the kids safe forever. He'd need Heck, and he can't count on Moon to make it. Life's changed. Moon's barely out of the lab. Hasn't been out for weeks. Cosmo hasn't returned since the incident. And Solar, he won't admit it, but he's been running himself ragged trying to get tech to protect the kids. Monty. Oh, Monty. The funeral had canceled their wedding. But what's this? Montgomery? Is that you?